slow and steady won't work here, or slow and steady doesn't always win the race. These are two ads that the first one I heard from someone who saw an ad in the Nike store in Hoboken, New Jersey that said this. And the second one I looked online and there is a Nike ad that says this. I want to tell you why I am not about this slogan, this ad, and I want to tell you from a fitness perspective as well as a psychological parts perspective why this is not what's up. To me, this ad really highlights everything that's wrong with today's hustle culture and this obsession that we have with elevating people's highlight reel. So slow and steady doesn't work here, right? We only accept fast and furious. We only accept people's end game. That's what we want to highlight. That's what we want to emphasize. To me personally, as someone who loves fitness, who is regularly active and would consider myself moderately fit, right? I can step into most group fitness classes and not want to die. I will tell you that the most inspiring people to me are not the people that are crushing it on the gym floor. It's the group of people that come in after the new year who are training with trainers for the first time, who are new to the gym experience, or at least at this point in their lives, or trying to get back in shape, or maybe have never been in the kind of shape that they would like to be in. And you see them really pushing through, really working hard. Because to me, those people had to not only work through some of the physical strain that goes into challenging your body in a new way, but they most likely had to confront parts of themselves that felt ashamed, embarrassed, or scared to start something new, right? Like they probably had to look at certain parts of themselves that were worried about other people judging them in the gym or other people being more fit than them in the gym, and how they were going to feel showing up and starting a new routine, and would they be able to stick with this, or are they going to fail, and is that going to make them feel less than? That requires a lot more effort, and I can tell you as someone who goes to the gym, than someone who this is a default mode and we just shift into it and we go. And I'm not saying for those people who have put a lot of dedication into their physical health that it doesn't require effort or work. It still can require effort for me to get out the door to do certain things when it comes to fitness. However, once I start moving, it's a downhill run for me to do certain fitness things because I've been doing it for so long, and because the parts of my psyche are trained to surrender and to follow through on the action. Just like someone who does public speaking every day for their career knows that this is something their parts know, they're primed, they're ready to do it, and they can surrender to that process in a way that someone who never does and is asked to give a presentation would have a harder time doing. But yet we want to elevate the person that public speaks every day and who is completely smooth and is, totally polished, or the person who's out running every day and can hit all of these crazy times, versus the person who is slow and steady and who's just starting out their journey. This brings me to the idea of pacing and our parts. I have done videos before on how I group our psychological defense mechanisms in two categories. One is chasing. So chasing are the parts of our personality that when under fear or duress will hyper focus on action to the detriment of other parts' needs. Okay, they get locked in, they push forward an agenda, and oftentimes can show up in the world in very controlling and very limited ways. And then there's the bracers, and those are the avoidants. Those are the people who use avoidant tactics not to confront the things they're scared of and maintain a certain status quo that's comfortable for them, but really never pushes them outside of a certain zone that might help them to self-actualize and to help grow their parts in different ways. Pacing requires us to at all times be aware of where our parts are on a certain topic, right? Whether we feel a degree of anxiety about, let's say, starting a new gym workout or a new career goal, and to be able to take our time to lean in and then pause, emotionally regulate, self-soothe, lean in again, pause, emotionally regulate, self-soothe when certain tension points happen. Right? I'll oftentimes compare it to a leg split. You don't want to force a leg split and will yourself from the center of your body down to complete it. In order for us to get all parts of us on board with a goal that we might be afraid of, we need to slowly shift our weight from left to right, which means taking the action and then soothing the parts of us that feel anxious, taking inspired action and soothing the parts of us that feel scared. Now, this is something that I feel like is so important, and it's lost with this whole message that Nike just put out, which is that slow and steady actually does win the race. In a way, it integrates our parts. It allows all parts of us to be on board with whatever the goal is, versus either us suppressing certain parts of their needs or literally shoving down certain parts in service of hyperfixating on a goal, which can lead to, again, us showing up in a controlling way. Even if we're talking about fitness, that could look like us getting injured. So if we were to look at it from a fitness perspective, chasers would be people that push themselves and overtrain to exhaustion and probably will get injured along the way because they're so hyper-focused on a goal and they're motivated by fear. They're not able to pace themselves in their pursuit. And then bracers are people who might have ideas about wanting to get into better shape or feeling better in their body, but that they avoid doing the things because they're scared of failing. Okay, so how do we confront this anxiety? We pace. We take inspired action, we self-soothe. We actually are incentivized to take our time. Slow and steady does win the race because slow and steady allows all parts to be on board. I'll share with you, when I was in high school, I never was a runner, quote unquote runner. Like I didn't do track and I didn't do cross country. I did soccer, and so I was active a lot, and I did travel soccer, and I did softball, which does not require any running. But we had this competition for my church, which we called Greek Olympics, which is you would compete with all of the churches in New Jersey, which is where I'm from, in track and field events. And so I was signed up for a lot of track and field events and had a lot of fun running and competing. But because I did not see myself as a runner, I would start off most races from behind, because a lot of my parts were scared, right? Like, we can't do this. There are people here who do track and field. I don't do track and field. I don't know if I can keep up with the fast pace this whole time. So it was sort of a joke with people who would go to these events that were from my church that Erin always comes from behind. Like, there's always a kick, because what would end up happening is I would start off like kind of slow, and I would just sort of like hang back. And then after we would have completed a few laps, I would have developed more confidence in myself, right? Like, my parts would have started to relax. And I'm like, oh, I'm not dying. Like, I can finish this race. Not only can I finish this race, like, I think I can actually pass that person. Actually, like, I think I can pass that person. Actually, wait a second. Now I'm like, I'm kind of on this stride, right? I'm sort of expanding, and I feel myself running faster and faster. But that was all because I started slow. It was all because of my own insecurities about what I could or couldn't do, and me working with those insecurities in a way that worked for me. I didn't scratch the event because I was too scared of coming in last, or that I didn't compete in track and field in high school, right? I didn't avoid it. I didn't brace against it. I also didn't chase. When the gun went off, I wasn't, at the front of the heat trying to keep up with all these people up front. I held back. I kept a distance until I could progressively build confidence in my own ability and in my own pacing to be able to make gains and to pass people when it came to competing in this way. Takeaway here is that slow and steady does win the race. And not only does it win the race, it helps us to integrate all parts of ourselves, to learn how to nurture all parts of ourselves so that we can be successful in future races. We can be braver, make brave choices, and develop a sense of resilience that serves us in whatever endeavor we're engaging in.